Everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn Recipe with Mahesh. The way Google wishes everybody a happy new year is using Google Doodle. So when you click on this, it shows a nice wishes. Awesome, right? So if basically a beginner who's basically writing some HTML code and all, how would they do it? Basically something like this, where they write a HTML page and they show you this, right? This is the way they do it. If I were to wish it, I would basically take a screenshot of it and I'll show you, or I'll say like, wish you all a rocking happy new year 2023. So this is all good. Now, a hypothetical scenario, like what if basically compute engine, Kubernetes engine, app engine, cloud run. So the various compute options in Google Cloud starts wishing us. So that's the video which I wanted to basically share today. So let's see how compute engine is going to wish us a happy new year. Let's get started. So for this demonstration purpose, basically I have created a public GitHub page, or a GitHub repo, where I have few folders inside it. So the one which I wanted to first do is Google Compute Engine, where there's the same HTML page which I showed here is basically being copied into this repository. And I have a small startup script, so which basically is going to install Nginx, GitHub. Let me copy the startup script and create a virtual machine, GCE versus new happy new year. I'm going to keep everything default. I'll turn on the firewall rule. So there are better ways basically. So we can use load balancer and all. Since it's a very basic demonstration, I wanted to keep it light. So under advanced options, so you should be able to basically add the startup script. So this is one of the options where you can host a HTML or a web application if you wanted to do. So this could be a good option for folks who are starting their cloud journey, who have a good development skills and they want to host a website. Compute engine is a good choice basically. So let's go ahead and click on create. So it's going to take a few seconds for it to come up. So let's just wait for it to show up. So if I just refresh it, I see it is up. So let's just wait for it more. Yeah, now it is good. So if I click on this, I should see basically the Nginx page. So if it's taking a little longer time, it's an indication that the startup script has not executed. So I have not paused the video here. So let's just refresh it one more time. Once the startup, and this basically indicates because it has to hit the internet, install Nginx, Git, all those things. So it's going to take a few seconds for it to basically get it up and running. That's what it indicates. So let me just refresh it. Now it is up and running. So slash compute, all compute option slash compute option slash GCE. If you use it, it should show up. So the reason why it is not showing again, if you just refresh it, it should show up. So it's all basically the startup script finishing it, completed, all those kind of stuff. So boom, that's how basically compute engine basically wishes us a happy new year. Now what if Kubernetes engine were to wish us a happy new year? Let's look into that. For Kubernetes engine and for Cloud Run, the most important thing is you need to have a container image. Without a container image, nothing can be done. So what I have done is I've created the same, used the same HTML page, and I've also added a Docker file. So it's just a 2 lines. So I'm using Alpine image, the most lightweight Linux distribution which you get. So in that I have Nginx installed in, so it's basically publicly available image, and I'm just copying that HTML page to this location. So first I have to create a Docker image and have to push it to a container registry. So when it comes to container registry, Google has basically 2 types of container registry. One is artifact registry. The other one is a deprecated one, container registry. So it's good we use artifact registry. So I'm going to create a repo called as wishes in US Central. You can create it in any region of your choice. Since I have created the Kubernetes cluster in US Central, I'm going to use it in US Central. So let me just create. So once this repository is created, what you can do is you can use your Cloud Shell basically to go and do the docker build. So docker build and docker push are two different commands which you can run, or you can run basically a command like gcloud builds submit, where I mention the repo name and with the specific image with the tag. Mentioning the tag is always a good choice. So let's hit enter. So it's going to take a few seconds for it to build the image. It's going to be a very lightweight image. It's going to build the image and it's also going to push it to the repository. So once it is pushed, what we are going to see is we will see a image with Happy New Year. It's almost done. So we should see the image. So it's done is my understanding. So yeah, it is now done. So if I go to the repository, click on this wishes, so I should be able to see just now Happy New Year image has been pushed. So the way I'm going to deploy it is basically you have three options and you see a little bit vulnerabilities are there. So if you want, you can basically fix it. So let's see further whether we have a view fix. There's also a fix available. That's what it indicates. So we can go and fix it if we want it. So maybe I'll try to do a video on that in another session or in another video. So going back to this one, if I click on this, so these are the different options we get it. So since compute engine we already tried it, so let's go and deploy it in our GKE cluster. So click on this and you should take it to a page where we wanted to deploy it. So we see our image here. Awesome. So done, click. So I'll call this as wishes. So it's going to generate the YAML file for us. So we have the cluster already, the one which I showed you. So to just save some time, I have already created well in advance. So click on deploy. Once we deploy it, so we should have our stuff up and the deployment object deployed. So that has to be exposed to the outside world. So if you want to expose it, there are different ways of exposing it. You can use cluster IP, node port, layer 4 load balancer, or you can use ingress. So all these options I have added already as a video. I'll put it in the description. If you want, you can look into it. For now, let's make it very simple. Let's follow what is shown in the user interface. I'm going to click on expose, which is going to create us a layer 4 load balancer. Because Nginx listens on port 80, so let's make it as port 80. So there are two ports here. The application listens on port 80 because Nginx listens on that, and the target, what is your load balancer, the port on which the container listens on. So this is also going to be 80 only. So this is the one which we wanted to expose, the load balancer. So let's make it 80. So this is going to basically create a service object. So with the type as load balancer, this basically behind the scene creates a layer 4 load balancer, which is not a great option basically, but for the quick demonstration I am using this. So once the load balancer gets created, we should be able to see via Kubernetes engine, we will see the wishes. Okay, let's just wait for a few seconds and it should not take much time basically. All right, the service is up. This is what it shows. So let me click on this. And if everything goes fine, boom, we get wishes from our GKE cluster. Awesome. So let's move on to the next compute option. So what if App Engine were to wishes? So let's do a small demonstration on this piece. So this is what is our App Engine screen looks like. So where you see some versions in the default service. So what I'm going to do is I already have the necessary piece of code which I wanted to do. So I'm going to basically use a folder called as static, where I'll keep the HTML page, and I will have this additional file app.yaml file, where I'm going to use Node.js 16 version as the runtime. So I'm going to use standard App Engine standard environment, not the flexible one, and I'll have a small URL handler. That's it. So let's go ahead and deploy this using our cloud run. So this is a file which I have. So all I need to do is gcloud app deploy version v. I'll call it as wishes happy new year. So that's the version, and I would like it to be done quietly, so that it will not prompt me for anything. So let's just wait for a few seconds for it to deploy this stuff, and once it is deployed, we should be able to access our app engine, where in our app engine we should see a new version called as GAE, wishes happy new year. Let's just wait for it to show it. It should not take much time. Let's just wait for it. All right, it is deployed. To be very frank, it took a little longer time this time, or in this situation. So let's go to our app engine, and if I refresh it, I should see this thing. And when I click on this, boom. So this is how our app engine wishes us a happy new year. Awesome. So let's look into the last option, and we have a special guest also after Cloud Run. So let's look into the next option, Cloud Run. This is my favorite option. I'll tell you why in the next few minutes once we finish the demonstration. Let's see how basically Cloud Run can be leveraged here. So if you see in Cloud Run, we have nothing. So there's no services running here. Simple. All you need to do it is either you create a service from here, or you can go to your this thing, the artifact registry. So you can go to artifact registry and then try to deploy it from there. So that is another option which you can do it. I would like to show you this option because it's going to be a little interesting. So go to wishes, and you see there is this, we already saw. This is the option which we wanted to explore it. So clear deploy basically to Cloud Run service. So the service name is Happy New Year 2020-23. That's it. So one important thing which you need to note here is if you want it to be made accessible to the public, you have to make it as allow unauthenticated invocation. And another important point which you need to do it is, by default it is going to be 80/80, but since Nginx listens on 80, you have to make it as 80. So that's it. If you click on create, so we have our Cloud Run service which comes up with a URL. So when you click on this, boom, that's the way we get the wish from our Cloud Run service. Beautiful option. So it is so quick, and if you ask me out of those 4 options which one would I prefer, I would go with Cloud Run. The reason is it is completely the option which we use was fully managed Cloud Run service. There's also another option called as Cloud Run for Anthos. We are using a fully managed one. All we need is just a Docker image which basically listens on a HTTP, so which is web focused. So that's it. You can deploy it very, very quickly. So whereas if you see Kubernetes, you have to create a Kubernetes cluster, keep it ready, then only you have to deploy it, all those things. Compute engine basically may not be that really helpful because if there's no traffic, you still need to pay for that compute engine. So say for example, if I don't send any traffic, I still need to pay for it. Kubernetes engine, there is an option where you can use something called as an autopilot mode. So, but there's going to be a little nominal cost there. App engine, if you ask, is a good choice. And since we are using App Engine standard environment, it will scale down to 0. That's a good choice. But the only problem with App Engine standard is if it's a language which we want to support and it is not if we want to write something in a language which App Engine standard does not support, then it becomes problematic. So if I were to do it for serve for everything, any combination, Cloud Run should be a good choice. I can write it in a language which is not supported by cloud, by app engine. I can still do that. So it can scale down to 0. So easy to deploy. So zero ops. So there are good advantages with Cloud Run. So that is the reason why I would prefer Cloud Run as the option. So those were the 4 compute options, which goes very well. And the reason why I'm not using cloud functions here is it's not a good fit basically here. It should be something based on an event, right? So hosting a website kind of a stuff is not a good choice for cloud functions. That's the reason I'm not showing you that. So coming to the guest speaker or the guest service which is going to wish us a happy new year is, so these are all compute options, folks. So some way here and there they are going to cost you. Sometimes even it could be few cents, but there's a cost. That's what I would say. But if it was to be with with Google Cloud Storage, you will not have literally a cost here because the file is very small size. It could be less than a 1 KB or 10 KB. And if I host this in a Google Cloud Storage bucket, very quickly I can make it up and running, and it will literally cost me $0. So that's the reason why I call this as a special or the guest who wants to wish us a happy new year. So let me show you how we can do this. It's going to be very quick, easy. So I have a folder called as GCS Google Cloud Storage Bucket, and I have a small script. Basically what it does is it's going to create a bucket with the name Happy New Year 2023. So looks like in the whole Google's ecosystem, Google Cloud's ecosystem, nobody has created a bucket with this. So we will be the first people to create a bucket with this. And you may say usually when it is Google Cloud storage, we use GSUtil as the option. Yes, that's the option. But after Google Next 2022 happened, so they announced a new a flavor of it, basically Google G Cloud command. So you don't need to rely on GSUtil. Here and there still some dependencies are there, but you can use Google G Cloud command basically. So let's go ahead and create a bucket. So we have the script. So I'm going to be lazy enough. I'm going to basically run this, which is going to create a bucket and also copy the file to me. So it is copied is my indication. So if I go to basically the bucket, refresh it, I should see a new bucket with this one. And I should see the HTML page. The important thing is you have to make this as public. The different ways, one of the easiest way is give public all user reader access. So once I make it, it's going to become public. So copy the URL, and that's the way our guest, basically the special service which is going to wish us happy new year. So you can see the URL. So that's the way it wishes us the wishes in a very simplest, the most cost effective way. So those are the different compute options by which I wanted to wish you a happy and a rocking 2020-23 year. So hope you like the video. Do let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And once again, happy new year, a rocking happy new year 2023. Thank you. Bye.